What up, everybody? We are live. Hello, welcome to Multiplex Loves Movies. It's been a long day, number 23. We are back with more movie news. It's been a busy week, surprisingly, in the world of movie news. When I sat down to take a look at everything that had happened this week, there was quite a bit of stuff. So let's get right into it. Starting off, though, hello, everybody. Cody, how are you doing?
Fantastic. It's been a busy week for myself. Got a lot of snow coming in, so that's always fun. But excited to talk about movie news like every week.
All right. And Maggie, what about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's get started off right away. We do the same thing every week at the beginning. We always talk about the box office. So let's start off right away with that. Coming in at number one is Bad Boys for Life with a huge 62 million opening weekend. That far exceeds, I think, most expectations that we had for the movie. Coming in at number two is 1917, making another 21.9 million, and just on the heels of it was Doolittle at number three with 21.8. And then sticking around at number four is Jumanji with 9.7 million. And then Star Wars drops actually from number two to number five with 8.2 million. But this week it did cross that $1 billion mark. So it is in the $1 billion club. Cody, I'll start with you right off the bat. Is there anything big about the box office that surprised you?
I think the biggest is Bad Boys for Life. I think I love the first two. I haven't seen the third one yet, unlike Koho. But I'm excited to see it actually make a decent amount of money. I mean, I think Will Smith needed it. I think Martin Lawrence for sure needed it.
Yeah.
And I heard Doolittle was painful. So I don't know if that's true, accurate, or what, but I've heard that it was not good. So that's a shame for all that star-studded and Robert Downey Jr., but it made some money, I guess. But there's a lot of CGI in that, so who knows?
Yeah, me and Maggie saw Doolittle over the weekend. It wasn't great, but I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever, but it was fine enough for kids. Haven't seen Bad Boys yet. I'm gonna go see it tonight, so we'll see if that turns out to be any good for me. Maggie, what about you? What did you think about these numbers this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Bad Boys, just ran away with it for some reason, by $40 million. I think it's impressive that 1917 still hangs in there with as much as a new movie like Doolittle, though I don't think that a lot of people want to see Doolittle really, and I think that sort of shows that. Another random thing is I'm just looking down here, I realized that Parasite, JoJo, and Ford v Ferrari expanded because they got nominated, so more theaters are getting them, but they're still earning over $1 million a weekend, and I'm very proud of them for sticking in there.
Yeah, they weren't the only ones that got more attention. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Joker both, granted they only made about 300,000 each, but that's for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that's an 823% uptick. And for Joker, that's a 486 uptick. Jojo Rabbit's probably the most surprising. It made 1.4 million, and it was a 630% increase. So that's pretty cool for that movie. All fun movies. Good job. It was a good weekend overall. Bad Boys is already at over 100 million domestic or worldwide, so I think this will go on, and we'll for sure be getting a fourth one because the success of this was pretty huge.
Yeah. Also, Knives Out at 8, and it's 8th weekend. It says here.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it's just not leaving the top 10. It went up this week.
Yeah.
You go, Knives Out.
Absolutely. All right. So let's just dive right into the main topics of the show. The big one that I put in here, I made the thumbnail because I just think it's probably the most interesting thing that I wanted to talk about, is the fact that we kind of knew this was coming based off the trailers and early reports, but there's going to be no Mushu in Mulan. And there's just gonna be that version of the character is gonna be non-existent in this
I don't think there's
upcoming.
gonna be any character like it.
Well, she says there is a little bit, but we'll get into it. What's that?
I didn't read that, but I
Yes. So it's not going to be like a talking, joke machine like Eddie Murphy's Mushu was, but there is going to be some sort of thing that the ancestors send out to Mulan. So this is what the director of the film had to say about not wanting to have Mushu in the movie. She said, I think we can all appreciate that Mushu is irreplaceable. The animated classic stands on its own in that regard. In this movie, there is a creature representative, a spiritual representation of the ancestors, and most particularly of Mulan's relationship with her father, but an update of Mushu, no. So, what do we think about this overall, Maggie? Because I know you haven't been super excited about this movie.
Yeah, so I was not a big fan of the trailer, the first trailer. The second trailer, I've seen it, I feel like, a million times now, and each time I like get more and more in the idea. If I just like let go of the animated version, I feel like this one might be one of the more divergent ones from the source material. Like we got Lion King, which was like the same thing. Beauty and the Beast was very similar. Even Aladdin, except for pretty much the ending, was very similar. So this seems like they're really going to diverge, especially with the villain, it seems. And then obviously taking out Mushu, who is like a huge character, and it looks like they're not going to have the romance part of it either that's in the animated movie. But once I like let go of those things and just was like, yeah, this is just going to be a different thing, I feel better about it. I'm still really nervous because obviously the track record has been mixed. I mean, yeah, I guess I understand, because like with them, the thing is, it's like with it's like Genie but not, because Eddie Murphy's still alive. Like he could easily come and voice this character, but they don't want to ask him to do it. But they also don't want to create the same character and get someone to do an Eddie Murphy impression. Like that, I think that's really what it more comes down to than it not fitting in with like the new type of like vibe she's going for. Though I can see how it doesn't fit into that vibe. We're like, with Genie, it was different because Robin Williams isn't alive anymore, so it was easier, I think, to recast that character. So yeah, I am nervous, but slowly getting more excited. So at the bottom of this article, it says that it's allegedly the most expensive Disney movie ever made. Is that true? How is that possible?
I didn't read that, but we will see, I guess, as it comes out in a couple months here.
Because I can't imagine it having a lot of CGI that would make that
I
cost
can imagine it having a lot of CGI.
But more than Lion King?
It's not all about CGI. CGI is like expensive, but that's not all it is. If they're doing a lot of practical battles and stuff like that, that can cost a lot of money. Cody, what is your take on the whole Mulan live action Mushu business?
I don't have a lot of opinion on it. I didn't expect him to be in this movie because they're literally not doing the remake that the movie was. Like, there's like, if they like let in with like, I'll make a man out of you, and like had like song numbers and back and forth, then I'd be like, okay, they're going. They have like showed this movie as like an actual like battle kind of movie, like army. So I think honestly it would be out of place if like a cartoon dragon popped up and said, "Yo, you're good." Like, it's just weird to me. So I'm not upset about it. I'm upset because I like the movie so much that of all the movies that they have remade, I would really like to see the live action version of that. Like, I think that would be cool. But I kind of am excited because I like it to be different than what they've done, because they've literally done pretty much copycats up till this point.
Except for Dumbo, which we saw how much of a success Dumbo was.
But I personally, I don't like the original Dumbo. So at that point, like, I don't have anything tied to it. So maybe doing something different and showing like a female just like beating down folks is pretty sweet for Disney to take that risk. So and treat her like she actually is. Because if you go back to like the cartoon and stuff, like that's a big part of the movie, and it still will be a big part of the movie. But like she's still, little wimpy at times, but now like the trailer they're showing, she looks pretty fierce from the start. So I don't know. I'm excited for a change of pace. I'm glad that they're like sticking with it. Like they could have heard backlash and be like, never mind, the cartoon dragon's here. Don't worry, he will be in it, and we will be CGIing him in tomorrow. I just think this is the most. I don't know if it's the most expensive because like I know Pirates is probably the most expensive they've ever done.
4, right? Yeah.
Because it just
like,
says
this is said to be the most expensive Disney movie ever made.
But to talk about like Game of Thrones and people, they said they don't know. You don't know how expensive horses honestly are until you purchase horses, and like to have all those people on horses and battles and sites, like it could cost a big penny. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. Probably going to see it in Minneapolis with the group, but yeah. So I'm excited. We'll see.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. That is going to be the SAG Awards. We're going to recap everything that won there.
Koho's not here. You can't talk about awards without
Koho. I know. I'm not allowed to, but we're going to anyway. And we're going to talk mostly just about the movie stuff because I haven't seen a lot of the television that's nominated. I think it's, whatever. But if you're into that, cool, but we don't really have a lot to say on the matter, so we're going to talk specifically about the movies. So let's start out with outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role. The winner is Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. Cody, I'm sure you're pleased.
Send in the clowns. I think this is just making it official now. I think he's winning it at the Oscars. I mean, they could do a total different direction like the Golden Globes did, but I think it's his to win. And I'm excited for it. What?
He still wanted the Golden Globes. He just
right. They do that separate. Sorry, you're 100. He won there too. So yeah, it's his to win. Yeah, so I'm excited. I think he gave the best performance this year. So.
All right, Maggie?
Yeah, not surprised. I do think that he's going to win the Oscar. I think that based off of these results, like it seems everyone keeps winning the same awards. I would be surprised, honestly, if something different were to occur at the Oscars. Everyone seems to be in consensus. I'm not mad about this award. I totally understand why he would win it.
All right. Next is outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role. We've got Renee Zellweger winning again for Judy. I don't understand this. I don't know why. I get it. I've seen the movie. She's good in the movie. It's just kind of like one of those things where in September everyone was like, she's gonna win, and we've just like gone with that. And I don't but why? Maggie, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I understand why they're giving it to her, but I think if there is any award where it's going to turn out differently at the Oscars, it's going to be this one. I would much rather see Scarlett Johansson win this. I think she deserves it way more, but I mean, it's a movie about Judy Garland, right? That's her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like Hollywood sweetheart. Like, it's not surprising that they're latching on to this performance.
Yeah.
Even though she already has an Oscar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit. It would make more sense if she didn't have an Oscar, but she does. So, but I mean, it is what it is.
Cody?
Like, it's just confusing. Like, Taron Egerton portraying somebody this year doesn't get any, like, besides Golden Globe nomination. And Judy is fine. Mm-hmm. She's fine. I didn't watch the full movie because I honestly didn't like it, but I skipped around through it just to see, like, her parts and see, like, what everybody's talking about. And she's fine. She's good. Mm-hmm. But I think Scarlett Johansson portraying like what the like going through the divorce and the battles is just more of a complex character than mimicking somebody on screen the entire time of her. And like, that's cool and all, but I don't get it. Like, I do not get why she is the clear front runner right now because she portrayed somebody else. Like, because she's a stop. Doesn't make any sense. She doesn't deserve the Oscar by no way.
All right. Next category we're going to look at is going to be outstanding performance by a male actor in a supporting role. The winner is Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think this is definitely a lock at this point. Cody, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I am on record that I do not like this movie. But those two, Leo and him, are the best part of that movie. Like they're great. Their acting's great. I honestly think Pitt's the best one out of those two in that movie. So like, hats off to him for winning. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a lock now. It's going into the season where Oscars is just going to be boring at this point because it's just like the previous years. Oh, this would win, and then something else would win, and then something else would win, and then you're like, I have no idea. This is like, well, we're going to go the straight line the entire way. And it's just like,
yeah.
Do I even want to watch the 3-hour show to find out the stuff I already know?
Yeah, exactly. Maggie, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. Like I was saying before, I think that there are very few categories. I think one of the few categories where it's unclear still is Best Picture, though it's starting to get more clear with the PGAs. But almost everything else, like I can predict what's gonna win, like with like 75 to 80% certainty, which is pretty high, and will make it less exciting. But again, it is what it is. But I'm very happy for Brad Pitt. I think that he's amazing in this movie, and I'm glad that he's winning.
Yeah, well, let's keep calling the locks as they come, because Laura Dern won Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role for Marriage Story, and again, I think that one is an absolute lock at this point. Do we both agree?
She's evil and she deserves it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So one that Maggie alluded to, outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture. This is more or less the best picture for the SAG Awards, and it goes to Parasite. It goes to Parasite over Hollywood, Jojo, Irishman, Bombshell. Granted, 1917 was not an option here, but Parasite winning this is a big tell in the fact of how many people, especially actors, are loving this movie. So how do we feel about Parasite taking home the SAG for more or less Best Picture? Maggie, we'll start with you.
No, I'm happy with it. If Parasite comes out and wins Best Picture, I think that would be crazy in like a good way. Very unexpected. I'm glad that it was recognized in such a way, and like in terms of acting, like that cast is a great ensemble cast together. Like they really play off of each other well. So it really makes sense why this was nominated in this category for these awards and why it won.
All right. And Cody, what do you think?
Yeah, with Parasite winning, again, 1917 not being eligible, I did not know that, so that kind of just reverts me back to probably 1917 winning at Oscars. But no, I would love it, like, because they put it in, what's the new title they're doing, foreign international film?
International, yeah.
Yeah, international film. It's like, okay, you won't win the big one, so here's your prize over here, and then the other ones, and then for it to burst into both and probably win both would be very cool. It's kind of neat. Like, again, as much as I want Jojo Rabbit to win, it's not going to win things like that, and I wish it did. But like, Parasite is a movie that took me by surprise that I didn't think I'd like. I'm not a big foreign language fan. I do not seek out those movies normally, so for it to surprise me and keep surprising other people, it's kind of cool that it actually won. It's a change of pace.
Yeah. All right. The last category that the SAG has here for motion pictures is just the outstanding action performance by a stunt ensemble. Avengers Endgame won this, so nice little cool thing for Avengers Endgame. But yeah, John Wick wasn't even nominated, which is weird. But anyway, let's move on to the next story, which kind of, Avengers might kind of lead into this a little bit. Disney removes Fox from 20th Century and Searchlight logos. So from now on, it seems like for upcoming Fox and Fox releases, Fox Searchlight, 20th Century Fox, you're no longer going to get Fox in there. You're still going to get the fanfare and the logo, but it's not going to say Fox. It's just going to say 20th Century Pictures and Searchlight Pictures, I believe is what it is. So this was found out this week. This is a little rough. I don't really like this. I don't agree with this. I don't think this is. I mean, it's kind of just like respect the legacy a little bit here. It is kind of where I see it. Like, I read this whole article about how the first like major wide released like animated film, short film rather, because the first full one was Snow White, but the was a Fox film made by Fox, like the dude, the guy, and that's the thing that like inspired Disney. So it's just kind of like a whole like interesting thing where it's like, why? What's the point? I get it for the sense of like, you know, your business, but at the same time, it's like we let Lucas stay in Lucasfilm. It's not called like Star Wars film or something like that. It's Lucasfilm, and it's his name. So,
I don't think me and Maggie have ever agreed on something more in this.
I'm just saying. I think it's just like, why are we disrespecting Fox a little bit? You know, like again, I think that's honestly it to me. It's like, why? What's the point? What's the point? Cody,
put it up.
Go ahead.
They put it up for sale. They sold out. So at that point in time, they lost all rights. It's the same thing like I feel like George Lucas when he says they disrespected me. No, they didn't. You didn't have to sell. You chose to sell. They get to do whatever they want with their property. The only reason Lucasfilm is because Lucasfilm is a whole different chain. Like it's a whole different, like it has gaming and everything else behind it. It's attached to all those things. And they bought Lucasfilms. So Lucasfilms, just like Pixar, they could have changed it to Pixar, Disney, you know, whatever. But they bought that side of the company. So just to leave Fox on there is just silly at this point because it's not their branding anymore. They don't support the Fox logo. So I get you're feeling sad because you won't see the Fox at the bottom of it, but at least they kept like that. But other than that, it's time to move on. You put up when you sell your house, you can't walk in and say, you changed the floor? I like the floor. It was a nice floor. You don't get a choice. It's gone. Sorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with branding and that they really want to keep this separate from what Fox has done in the past. And we also have to remember that Fox News still exists as something different. And I think that they want to distance themselves from that brand. And so I think that removing the Fox name from the movies is fine to create, like, to sort of acknowledge that it's like its own studio now underneath Disney. It's not like this outside thing. It is now a subsidiary of Disney, like as its own thing. And Fox, 20th Century Fox, has enough of a brand base. Like usually when you buy a company, you want to keep their copyrights and you want to keep their brand because that's the whole point. But with them, Fox's brand is so big and Disney's brand is so big that it doesn't matter what you call it. And so I totally understand why they changed it. I'm not mad about it at all. I actually think that it's definitely the right move. I don't think that there's any point in keeping the Fox there because it's just going to rub it in. Like, that's just going to rub it in the wound. Everyone was really pissed about this acquisition. Like, I think that it's a good sign that things are moving on amicably in the studios and that they're really trying to bring them into their corporate culture or whatever.
Okay. Well, I guess 2-1. You guys win this one. That's fine and dandy. No big deal. This next story, I think I'm pretty excited about. Taika Waititi has been reportedly approached to develop a Star Wars film. This is exciting to direct, hypothetically, hopefully write and direct. I believe this would come after his Thor 4 and another film on top of that. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think that Taika, you know, as I believe he directed an episode of Mandalorian. Which was a great episode. He's been in the world. Would I have rather seen, you know, Jon Favreau do it? Probably, but Taika's a great choice. I love Taika. Jojo Rabbit, as Cody said, is fantastic. Ragnarok is great. What We Do in the Shadows is great. So I'm all for it. Cody, let's go to you. what do you think about Taika Waititi and Star Wars?
Put him in anything. Put him in anything. Totally trust him. Honestly, my least favorite MCU movies going into it were Thor. I thought they were okay. I thought they were fine. But then Ragnarok came out, and I think it's literally in my top 10, I think, of MCU movies. And then Jojo Rabbit, and then what they do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows. I mean, his work just speaks for itself. Like, and I think since clearly that wasn't exactly like Feige had a hand in it, but he let Taika kind of drive a little bit because that's more of a Taika movie than an MCU movie of Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. So I think he gets respect from a lot of higher ups, and now that Feige's kind of overseeing Star Wars, right? Is that what's not overseeing?
He's developing a movie.
He's developing.
There's nothing that says these are the same. That they're the same.
No. Right. But he's just saying that Feige is also
moving up in Disney. To
be involved.
Yeah, Feige's moving up in Disney, and clearly not to bring this controversy back, but to say the last trilogy was the most successful, like the most fan-oriented, like happy time. It's not the case at this point. So I think they want to lean a little bit more, and Feige's like, I got a guy, Taika would be perfect for. Got this guy, Taika. Like, he just did Jojo Rabbit. The man just made a movie about Hitler work in 2019. Shouldn't have worked. Especially the mind of a 10-year-old boy, like the subconscious of his imaginary friend is Adolf Hitler. And it was one of the best movies of the year and nominated all over the place. And when the first trailer dropped, everybody goes, oh no. Oh, Taika, what are you doing? And genius. So I would love it. I don't want him to do a saga film. I don't want that at all. I want it to be this wild world, something like the underbelly of kind of like a Mandalorian, an underbelly of the stuff that we don't get to talk about. Smugglers, something cool. I think he would be brilliant at it. I would be in line. I would already be in line because I like Star Wars, but I would be even more excited to see him actually do a Star Wars film because I think he's perfect for it.
I agree. Maggie, what do you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, I think the things that we are excited about because we love Taika is also the reason why, they mentioned that in this Screen Rant article that in the past, he said that he doesn't think that he would be able to do a Star Wars movie because they wouldn't let him do what he wants to do. Sure. And we know that problem has arisen much more recently in the Star Wars area with Solo and with Episode 9. So that does worry me a little bit. I think that if he was to write one and then they just kept it and brought in a director that's gonna execute that script but also be compliant, that might be a better relationship. I don't want to see him come in and have this whole new vision that's completely awesome and then Kathleen Kennedy shoot it down and then all of a sudden he has a sour taste in his mouth for Disney. I know that Lucasfilm and Marvel are separate, but really they're not. So I want him to stick around and do more Thor things. Yeah. So that worries me a tiny bit. And it also doesn't even say, it's unclear if he's going to be producing or writing or directing or all of the above. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of possibilities and I would love to see him involved in one way or another. I just hope that whatever they bring him in to do, that they let him do it the way that he wants to, because otherwise there's no point in bringing him in.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is going to be around much longer at Lucasfilm, to be honest. So we'll see if that plays into it at all. But I don't think if we do get a movie where he's directing, writing, all the above, that it's going to come for quite a while. So there's plenty of time. Okay, let's move on. what we do at the end of every show, guys, is we talk about the movies coming up next week, and that's what we're going to do right now. So there's 2 major wide releases coming next week. The first one is a film called The Turning. This is a horror film. I don't know jack about it. I've seen the trailer, but I don't remember. It's got Finn Wolfhard and I believe, is it Mackenzie Davis, right?
Mhm.
From
She's
the new
the nanny.
Terminator movie. And
2049 she's in.
yeah, so she's been in quite a few things. She's great. I like Finn Wolfhard. I might check it out if it gets some decent reviews, but I can't imagine that it will. But who knows?
Yeah.
It's a January horror film. Who knows what'll happen? Maggie, you interested in this one at all?
Not really. Maybe if it gets good reviews, I'll consider going, but there have been other movies, like horror movies, that I've been skipping on. It looks like a jump scare fest, and I am not about that life. So, not interested.
Cody, what about you?
Nope. I don't do horror, and I definitely don't do horror in January. Bye-bye, man.
Bye-bye, man is right. 100%.
That's true.
The next big wide release is actually the next Guy Ritchie film, The Gentleman. Are we excited about this one, Cody?
Okay, so I'm slowly becoming a Guy Ritchie fan. Like, I like Guy Ritchie movies for what they are. I rewatched Aladdin. I didn't hate it as much the second time, which I was surprised. I think it was because I watched my wife and she was so intrigued by it. So I think with that, even though she knew the whole story, but she was really intrigued by what actually happened in Aladdin that we've seen. But I'm excited for him to do this because I think he honestly is a talented director. I just think he doesn't always pick the best projects to run. So this one looks interesting. So I'm definitely going to see it.
Maggie, what about you?
I have really low expectations. Aladdin was very not Guy Ritchie. It had some aspects here and there, but it really was toned down. Like he got it together. He obeyed what Disney wanted him to do.
Yikes.
But what was it? Was it King Arthur or something? Legend of the Sword or some bullshit like that? That was awful. Oh my god. Man from U.N.C.L.E. was okay. But I also hate Charlie Hunnam. I think he's a terrible actor. No one should hire him. So he's one of the main characters in this movie. So that I'm sorry. I've always had this opinion about him. I think he's terrible. Henry Golding is in this movie, but it's a weird character that I think he's playing, and I'm used to him being the sweet guy, so having him be a weird gang drug guy is gonna be a weird thing. I think that Matthew will be Matthew, and it'll be fine. I don't know. The cast is really good because Colin Farrell's in it too, right? And his part in the trailer is pretty funny, but I don't know. Guy Ritchie is not. Though we have a mixed relationship. So, and it's January. Why is this movie coming out in January? If the studio had faith in it, I feel like they would put it out in February even, or April or May, or even September or October. January is a choice.
Maybe they're hoping for the Bad Boys for Life thing where, nothing else is out and it can make $50 million opening weekend.
But Bad Boys it's a franchise. Bad Boys is an established, well-loved property. Guy Ritchie is not an established, he's established, but he's not a well-loved property. His name alone isn't going to do shit. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, guys, that was a very quick episode, but that was the episode. So there you go. That's what happens when you only have 3 people on the panel. You get shit done. You get it done quick. But yeah, Maggie, where can the people on the internet follow you?
Sorry. I'm on Twitter. May24 Maggie, MAE24 MAGGIE, or search the Macaw, because that's what I go by now on Twitter. Or on Letterboxd, but on Letterboxd, I believe I'm May24 MAEMAE24. Yeah.
All right, Cody, what's going on Your List Sucks tomorrow?
Well, Your List Sucks is I'm really excited about because I have the Brzakalas joining me tomorrow. along with Scott Harvey, Douglas Castle, and crud. I knew I'd forget the other person.
We literally did this morning.
And I got the other one right, but I don't know who the other person is off the top of my head. I'm doing 5. It's best of 2019. And everybody has a very different list. So I'm very excited to talk about it. And I feel like some fist will be thrown and some anger will be spilled, especially from the bird. But let me tell you, the exciting thing is if you didn't watch me and Tim's video, go back and watch it today because the Macaw is joining me in the First Order, and we released our team, and we're really excited about the future of Multiplex and ready to rule 2020 like we ruled 2019. So really excited for that. But check out tomorrow's episode because it's going to be fiery.
All right, fiery indeed. Yeah, and Fandom is still not back yet, but we come back in a couple weeks. Yeah, like 2 weeks or so. I don't fucking know. We come back and there's some match, and me and Maggie hosted it, and it's gonna happen. And then yeah, but otherwise we'll be back here same time next week. Also, it's been advertised around the place, but go and subscribe to our podcast feed, which is now up and running. You search Multiplex Entertainment on your Anchor, on your Spotify, on your iTunes podcasts. You'll find us, and we're going to have every episode of Multiplex Loves Movies and every episode of Your List Sucks all on there now, along with episodes of the After Show, Nerdgasm, other fun stuff like the awards and the co-hosters and stuff like that. So if you are interested in listening to us on the go, you can now do that because that is more helpful. That is how I ingest a lot of my content. I might actually watch Your List Sucks now. I'm so sorry. And also that AMA that Cody was talking about, guess what? It's on the podcast feed. So yeah, go subscribe to that and also subscribe here for all of the content. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Until next time, see you later.